to the Stro Show. I am your host, Stro, and the show is brought to you by the Spring Branch Sports Line. It has been a while since we last spoken about some good old H-Town sports. Plenty has happened. The sports world never stops, and we must try to keep up as best as possible. Lots to cover about your Houston teams, Texans, Rockets, Astros, and of course, some MMA, some boxing, some get the fist up and 1-2 left boxing. Let's hop right into it so I can get this off my chest. Of course, I explained last time I am a huge basketball fan, and I just want to make peace with the fact that my Houston Rockets did not have the best season we've seen so far. Of course, coming off of the Western Conference appearance last season, we would have loved for this team to live up to expectation, but unfortunately, the way I anticipated this season, it didn't pan out the way we wanted it to. Rockets just never got it going, ever. Waited, and they never got it going. You always had that hope that they were just going to somehow turn that switch on and just get it going the way they did last year. But this team simply just didn't live up to its hype. And simply as a fan, what could you say? It's a team that took you to the Western Conference Finals last year. You expected it, didn't work out. We must move forward. I think they pulled the trigger a little soon on Kevin McHale, but hey, I actually like the move. But JB, just another puppet that these players could run over because just no leadership this year. No leadership at all to get these guys working cohesively on the court. Like I've been saying, we need a new head coach that can get this team mentally prepared, game in and game out, to play both sides of the ball, especially on the defensive end. That's what coaching is for, is let them know what they're going to be running, and mentally you have to buy in. Buy into the system, buy into playing defense together, doing it for each other. JBB, I respect the work he did there and the time that he had, just not going to cut it. Lots of fans wanting to media wanting to put the blame on James Harden, the superstar. When you're thinking about a dysfunctional season and all the ups and downs this team had, everybody has a sense of responsibility. Everybody. James Harden, being the superstar, showed no leadership. Guy can score like a monster. I still think the guy's bright, but just too many distractions. I don't know if it's what my dad would say, James Harden parties too much and goes out. I mean, that could be a possibility, but isn't it time for James Harden to mature? Shouldn't he be the type of player to just want to get better day in and day out and not just out there on the streets? He is a California guy, but if you can't do both and handle your business on the court as a leader, as if you want to be that great superstar, all the intangibles have to come with it, not just some. James Harden is a great scorer, can get his guys involved, but he needs some help and he needs to mature if he wants to be called one of the best players in the NBA. Now, you can't go by this season without mentioning the GM, Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey holds a big responsibility for how this season went. But recently, in an article or in a press conference, I kind of agree with Daryl Morey, with him stating that some teams out there fed out negative media about this organization. I agree with that. Everywhere I turn, just negative things about the Rockets. Granted, they deserve it. But what kind of player is going to look at this team and say, oh, I would love to join that dysfunctional family team? Just not reasonable. But hey, if other teams are willing to play dirty, I mean, I think that if a star wants to come here, which Rockets should have the money to spend with Dwight Howard expecting to opt out, but you never know with him. He changes his mind in any minute. So another summer of what is Dwight going to do? Hold the Rockets hostage for money or leave? James Harden say, hey, we love the big fella. We'll see if he stays. Rockets must revamp the roster. Can we have a power forward in Houston? I don't think we've had one, period. Can we get a power forward? Can we get a point guard? Listen, James Harden, if you want to be on a championship team, somebody other than you has to handle that ball and move the ball around and not just do isolation. So, we shall see. Trust in Daryl. Let's see if he can be trusted and get another shot. Because I think if he misses this coming up free agency or coming up offseason, Leslie Alexander is not going to take that lightly, and we might be seeing a new GM of the Houston Rockets. But we shall see. Candidates to take over the head coaching job: Jeff Van Gundy, George Karl. That's really about it when it comes to coaches. There's some other, if you want to get a young coach, I really don't think this team needs a young coach. I'm not too, I think a Jeff Van Gundy return would be good for this team. But Jeff Van Gundy's just had, all his whole coaching career has had trouble getting over that hump. So does he really have what it takes to lead this team? Or are we just going to see another first round bounce? Somebody has to come in and get these guys to play defense. George Karl, is he too old? Luke Walton just signed a deal with the Lakers, so he's off the table. Scotty Brooks is with Washington Wizards. He's off the table. Who is going to be the head coach of this team? Tom Thibodeau with the Minnesota Timberwolves, with all the control he can have there. So some big names off the table during the playoffs. So we'll see. It's been said that they will take their time to see who's going to be the next head coach of this team. Free agents like Kevin Durant this year. It's going to be an exciting offseason, and in the Rockets I feel like are going to be aggressive. We'll see where that leads us. I'm kind of glad the bleeding is done. I was able to attend Game 3, the only game they won, so that was great. They actually played like they were supposed to that game. I was glad to see that. Just too inconsistent. Couldn't play basketball for 48 minutes. Horrible season. It was hard to watch. I hope a lesson was learned by getting whooped by a Curryless Warriors team. I just hope a lesson was learned, because they did them downright and dirty, and they deserved it. They luckily got into the playoffs, and they didn't take the opportunity. They would go down and just give up. I truly believe some of these players gave up on their superstars, Howard and Harden. Truly believe it. Trevor Ariza, wow, horrible series. Just a horrible series. Couldn't make a thing. Corey Brewer hit 1-3 out of maybe 30-plus attempts. Hadn't hit in months. Horrible. Too inconsistent. Too many moving lineups all year. Just no stability whatsoever. I'm glad it's over. They finished the season. losing to the Warriors 4-1 in the series. I'm hoping this team turns it around. Lots of changes, whole new squad I picture next year. So believe in Morey. On to a brighter note. Houston Texans. As we all know, the draft is underway. The Houston Texans going all offense early on in the draft. They wanted to add some speed. They definitely added some speed with the players they picked up. Round 1, pick 21 in the draft. They trade up one spot. Give up a 6th-round pick for next year. They go ahead and get Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, Will Fuller, 6 foot 186, speed guy. Just a speed guy. Mike Mayock quotes, "This pick makes a ton of sense to me. He is totally legit speed, a game changer from a speed perspective. He tracks the deep ball extremely well. I worry about his hands. He's a little bit like Ted Ginn of the Panthers. He will make big plays, but you will have to put up with a few drops. This guy is young. He'll learn, especially with DeAndre Hopkins. A guy with hands like that, he's going to learn off of him. He's going to feed off of that. Great pickup. Guy on the outside, speed. Just throw it up, Osweiler, and this guy was going to find it. Round 2, pick 19, pick 50 overall, Nick Martin, offensive guard, 6'4", 299, Notre Dame. Big guy down the middle. Mike Mayock quotes, "The Texans signed a quarterback and free agent, so first you draft a wide receiver in Will Fuller, then you draft one of the top centers in the draft. Martin can play in this league for 10 years. Big guy, brother of Zach Martin of Dallas, who was an all-pro guard there, so it's in the blood. Excited about that pick. Round 3, pick 85 overall, Braxton Miller, wide receiver, 6'1", 201, Ohio State. Man, Texans adding some more speed guys. Former quarterback for the Buckeyes, converted to wide receiver, and his wide receiver game is on another level. His coach Urban Meyer quotes, "He has a great skill set. He was back-to-back player of the year in the Big Ten. He's very elusive. He's a very elusive player and has top-end speed. He was a great teammate, elected captain for us." When you get a leader like that in your locker room, Braxton Miller, who can make plays with the ball in his hands, Texans offense looking to be one of the most explosive. Round 4. Any of you guys heard of running back Darren Sproles or maybe Shane Vereen? That guy who just catch it out of the backfield and do whatever and turn those yards into big plays? Well, we got a guy named in round 4, number 119 overall, Tyler Irving, running back from San Jose State. Mark Dunnergen quotes, "Irving, a flashy space weapon, will put together a solid highlight package as Houston's scat back. Bill O'Brien can get creative with Irving and his open field running ability. His NFL role will involve third down packages and returning kicks." Another speed guy. Texans are loading up on weapons for Brock Osweiler. Offense. I like these picks. You get a guy in free agent, you have to make sure he has the proper weapons to succeed. Outside of flashes of Jalen Strong and an amazing player in DeAndre Hopkins, that's all you have. No more Arian Foster, no more, of course, Andre Johnson from past years. These are new young guys that are going to get the ball and